everybody. I'd like to welcome you all to eDiscovery CareerFest here at the Levin College of Law. CareerFest is designed to try and provide a glimpse into opportunities that eDiscovery competency provides, working for corporations, working for law firms, working for vendors, and working for government agencies. We believe eDiscovery competence powers litigation right now, which is why we do eDiscovery Career Day, CareerFest, and as well as we have a conference starting tomorrow, which is running all day long. To kick off CareerFest for our students, I had the distinct pleasure of introducing a good friend of mine, Canaan Himmelbaum. Hello, Canaan. Canaan is a double Gator, an undergraduate degree here, and he did a degree here at the University of Florida, Levin College of Law. Canaan is one of our superstars that's here for our eDiscovery Week at the University of Florida. Canaan practiced law for 8 years. He basically worked in-house and also worked for major law firms, and then decided to advance his career by working in the eDiscovery industry. And he's been nothing but a giant success in that, rising through the ranks of a number of different companies to his position now as Global Director of eDiscovery for Advanced Discovery, which was just obtained by Concilio, if I pronounced that correctly. So anyhow, that is our first speaker, and Canaan's going to talk a little bit about his career, his personal path, and what eDiscovery has meant in terms of boosting his career prospects. Welcome back to University of Florida, Canaan.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. So, a little fact checking. I think we're all about real news, fake news. I'm not a superstar, but I appreciate that, Bill. One of the things that I'd like to say at the beginning, at the outset, is this is going to be a really interesting 30 minutes. Pay close attention. I'm going to give you all the things you need to know for the next 50 years of your life. So I'm going to give you a little introduction to myself, to my background, talk a little bit about the opportunity in the world of eDiscovery. One of the things I didn't know when I went to school here, I started undergrad in '97. I started law school in 2001. There was no E, there was just Discovery. And then in 2004, when I left, I found my way into the practice of law as a litigator. A brief introduction: I was 10 pounds lighter in that picture than I am today. I work for Advanced Discovery, which was just acquired by GI Partners. GI Partners also acquired Concilio, and now we are the second largest eDiscovery company in the world. So very exciting. Clients and friends are here today at the University of Florida. We have CareerFest, and then tomorrow we have the conference, which is going to be great. And thanks to Bill and the team and Maribel, one of the best conferences out there. So I'm excited to be here, and thanks for having me back. So in everything, there's the A-team. The people that I think support you, whether it's through law school or in your career or in your life. And I want to introduce you to three really important people. The matriarch in the middle is my wife, Sarah. And as you can see, the kid's got her looks and not mine. And Aiden is on the left. He's 6 years old, and he is sassy, as his little sister says. And that's Zoe on the right, and she is almost 3. And I can tell you, without them, I wouldn't have been able to make it through a number of tougher moments in my legal career, and also during my career as an eDiscovery consultant and salesperson. So I always get asked, and I'm sure you guys will as you move on in your careers, who am I? What do I do for a living? I'm sure some of the people in the room get asked that as well, and it's kind of odd at the dinner table to give the description. Who I really think I am is the boogeyman, because my clients are typically large-scale corporations who don't like litigation, know they have to go through it, and I have to sometimes give them the bad news about the data and about the information. And then I also have to send them an invoice at the end. And more importantly, I started my career as a litigator at a law firm. So I did a summer internship, I did on-campus OCI, I went to Atlanta, I worked for a summer, and I realized that it was exciting, but what I realized for me is maybe it wasn't what I thought it was going to be when I went to law school. What I watched is I watched a lot of people working really hard. I watched a lot of people working together in conjunction with each other, but I watched a lot of people not having time for their family. I watched a lot of people not having time for friends. I watched a lot of aggressiveness towards each other. And I realized that, you know, having a father who's a psychotherapist and a mother who's a nurse, I probably wasn't going to be good at the arguing with people thing. I was going to want to negotiate and settle. Well, the partners at the law firm didn't really want me to settle. They wanted me to fight, right? Because then there was more money to be made. So I worked as a lawyer at a law firm for 4 years. And then I was hired by Glanbia, which is an Irish dairy company, which is global. And I was an in-house IP litigation counsel. And what I realized is that the litigation and eDiscovery costs on a project, the eDiscovery costs were 60% of the cost. Because I was in-house, and I had a P&L, and I had a budget, and I had to figure out, at 28 years old, how I was going to make my CEO happy. And what I realized is that I could do all of those things. I could be happy, you know, doing all those things, but I wasn't going to necessarily talk with a 50-year-old partner and convince him that at 28 years old, I knew everything about the law, that I could tell him how to strategize for my case. Well, what I continued to see was there was this uncontrollable data growth, right? So data was just continuing to grow and grow, and we got sued. And we got sued in a class action litigation for the labeling on our product because I was the trademark lawyer, and I had told the marketing people not to do it. I was the one who got called to go out and hire. So I hired a law firm, and they hired a vendor, and I got my first bill. And they hired, I'm not going to name the name of the vendor on purpose, but I got the first bill, and it was $900,000. I said, well, one, my law firm never told me anything about this, and I wish I would have known, nice surprise. And two, it was only 3 terabytes of data, but which back in 2006 was a lot. Well, why didn't anybody tell me it was $3,000 a gig? I guess I signed a contract and I should have paid attention, right? The problem was that I figured out is that 1 out of every 1,000 documents that was reviewed by this law firm and by this outside company was actually relevant to the litigation. So I'm like, wait, you collected 3 terabytes, which you probably didn't need to do in the first place. Now, remember, I'm an IP attorney at this time. I'm not an eDiscovery attorney. I don't even know what it's about. And in 2006, there's the federal rules. So I'm trying to piece this all together. And I'm saying to myself, well, I could probably do this, right? I could probably do this. And I was making $80,000 in South Florida, which is pretty good, right? Felt like a king. I think my first job out of law school, just to give you a sense of dollars and cents, I worked for a smaller insurance defense firm, and I made $48,000. That wasn't going to get me much, because I had certainly lived this lifestyle that my parents gave me, which, unbeknownst to me, they couldn't really give it to me, but they did, where I wanted to have all the nicest things. So I said to myself, all right, I'm going to go and get a better job. So I worked at a law firm, and I made a bigger law firm, and I made $80,000, and then the corporation hired me, and I made $85,000. But I was like, well, this sales rep who just came in here, $900,000, even if he gets 5%, I want to do what he does. So, so what motivates you, right? So like, huge, because everyone goes to law school for a different reason, right? So some may come to law school because their parents want them to be a lawyer. I couldn't be a police officer because my hand shakes a little, so nobody wanted that to happen out in the field. But I came to law school because I thought I wanted to be a criminal lawyer, because I thought that would be really cool. I ended up as an IP litigator, so I don't know what happened during the course of that. But people come for the fact that they think it's going to make them millions of dollars. They come because they're really interested in the practice of law. Their father or mother, someone's a practicing lawyer. They come because they want to do pro bono work, or they want to do work in the government sector. So you have to figure out, at this point, maybe you're asking yourself that question, right? And if the folks who aren't here, who are seeing the video, it's a good time to think about that, right? You can do that in your first year when you're in the middle of contracts and you're like, I can't study this for the rest of my life, and I have no interest in, redlining a contract. Or you can do that in your third year after you've been through 2 summer internships and you're like, sort of like I did, but I kept going. So is it money? Is that a driver? Is it freedom? And then in my instance, because of the IP and technology and all that stuff, it was the growing technology curve. And I talked about this earlier today with Rose from King & Spalding and Scott Milner from Morgan Lewis. Like, it's ever changing, right? We've got now GDPR, and we've got to talk to clients about all these kind of things. We've got artificial intelligence. So I'm like, wait, everybody wants to know what I do. It looks really cool. Well, when I was a lawyer, nobody really cared what I did, right? It was like, oh, you're a lawyer, that's great. I got a little bit more respect, but so I get to work with really cool companies, right? So as a lawyer at a small law firm, I didn't get to work with some of these companies because we didn't represent them. But I get to go and travel around the globe on behalf of amazing companies and talk about how we can cull their data, how we can use artificial intelligence to lower their risk, talk about information governance, we talk about data overseas, getting it back here to the United States. And for me, that's one of the most intriguing parts of this, right? That I wasn't going to go work for the top law firm in the country because that wasn't of interest to me. I never wanted to become a partner at a law firm. It just wasn't of interest to me. But eDiscovery didn't exist really in 2006, and now you all, as students, have that opportunity. I mean, think back to when you were a little kid. What'd you want to be? You wanted to be a firefighter, a police officer, a Barbie doll. I mean, I wanted to be a carpenter. I was just talking to Bill earlier. It didn't work out. I'm not that good with my hands. My wife always says I'm really good with picking up the phone to call the contractor. But for me, the motivation always was never the money. And I'll tell you, and I'm not going to tell you what I make, but I will tell you the money for me is better than what it would have been had I stayed where I was. And I think a lot of people can say that about this industry, because if you do something, and here's the main point that if you take anything away from the discussion, if you do something you love, you're going to be good at it, or you're going to try your hardest, and then you're going to go out there and make a difference. So I'm making a difference in a $12 billion industry that impacts clients all over the world because of that, right? Because I love what I do. I care about what I do. And some of the folks in here will tell you I actually have fun doing it too. So Mike's laughing. So what are the possibilities, right? So this morning I woke up and I was leaving the Hilton Conference Center, and I walked out, and I'd interviewed a student last year, Jonathan, and he was walking in and I was walking out, and I said, "What are you doing? It's so great to see you. I'm glad that I got a chance to see you." And he said, "I'm working at a law firm now." I was like, that's amazing, because he went to law school, he graduated from law school, and now he's a contract attorney at a law firm. He does doc review, and he loves what he does, and he works hard. He didn't take the straight route that we all had. I remember, Bill and I talking, you just had to walk up that one road at the end of law school. You were going to be a lawyer. Now we have possibilities. So I'm not going to spend too much time on the EDRM. I think it's probably changed 100 times since this picture, since yesterday. But I didn't think this one was in 2014, Mike, so we'll leave that behind. But you can be a contract attorney. You can be a consultant. You can be in forensics, project manager, application specialist, review manager. You can be anything that you want to be. You put your mind to it. And what we're offering, and what Bill has done, which is amazing, from CareerFest on, is offering internships and externships at vendors, at law firms. We all want people to get more engaged in this because data is never going away, right? And I remember talking to a project manager, and I don't know why I asked her this question, but she went to law school, she graduated, she passed the bar, and she's just like, I have no interest in practicing law. I'm like, well, why don't you come to Advanced Discovery? You can work with us, and you start out as an analyst, and you make, $60,000, and then you're on your way up, and she's making 140 grand as a project manager. And if I could have her on every single case I have, I would. But it's about having a career trajectory that doesn't have to start as an associate. And yes, I'm bashing the law firm for a second. I'm bashing being a lawyer, but I loved some of the aspects of it. But you don't have to start it as an associate and then move up to a non-equity partner and then an equity partner. You can go along a track of what's different. If you're interested in eDiscovery, I'm not just saying because the money is good in the industry that that's your choice. Tomorrow you should, quit law school and come work for Advanced Discovery. What I'm saying is you should see this through, finish law school, and think about what it is that you want to do. And during your course of being in law school, you can come and do an internship. You can come and do an externship. And we're more than happy to open our doors. And I know there are other eDiscovery companies that'll be here and other firms that are here that'll do that as well. But one of the things is these project managers who are lawyers, they don't feel any less than. They still have the debt like I do, and I still pay somebody every month, which we all don't love. But they love what they do. They care about their clients. They're strategists. And they would never have gotten to work on the biggest mergers in the world, right? Huge cases where the impact is 20 or $60 billion. I'm sure you see this all in the news. They hit the headlines. Amazon buys Whole Foods, right? It's like being able to work on a case like that, is life-changing. Sort of the mastery of your craft, right? All of these tools and technologies that I'm sure Bill talks to you about in his class all have additional skills you can get in them, right? So relativity is one. There's Recommind, there's BrainSpace, there's all these different tools that are out there, and you can go and spend more time becoming a master, right? And so just as an example, at our company, now that we've merged with Concilio, we have 10 masters around the world, more than any other company. What's important about that? If you talk to a law firm, somebody from a law firm who's in or a corporation, they want to work with the people who mastered the tools. They don't want to work with a fly-by-night company, right? And it's just like hiring a law firm. You're hiring a vendor. It's an important aspect. And I'll go, if I went back to a slide like 7 slides ago, 60% of the costs in litigation are eDiscovery. So it's a very important decision. And especially now, which we were talking about GDPR this morning, where is data? We have to know where data can be and where it can go. So how your legal skill comes into play. Now this is key, because I think the differentiator, and I could be wrong, and Scott, you can tell me later if I am or not, is when I walk into a room and talk to people about the practice of law and some of the things around eDiscovery, right? What I'm suggesting we should do with a case, I think sometimes I get a little bit more credibility because I was a lawyer and I was an in-house counsel. More so when I go into a corporate client and I start to talk to them about what I think they should do and where data is, and that they shouldn't collect it all, that they should take a sampling of data, you sort of get like a little bit more confidence, right? There's a whole nother part of this, right, on the slide, that I have up. Then you get into the databases, right? Then you have to understand what's the coding look like? What do we want to code for? And you wouldn't know that, I think, for the most part, unless either you started as a young analyst and learn you have to learn the industry and the technology at the same time. One of the neat parts about coming out of law school, taking Professor Hamilton's courses, listening to these different conferences and these different discussions, is that you'll understand this piece. Now you just need to understand how to then associate that to the technology, right? And that's a pretty cool feeling, because for me, it wasn't that I had to pick up a book and understand what metadata was and figure out like what culling meant. I was just able to go out there and start to have the conversation. So these are all things, being able to prepare a memo to the court, or being able to go to a 26F meet and confer and actually talk educatedly. One of the biggest concerns I have, and again, this is now me, my career has changed, right? I went from lawyer at an outside law firm to an in-house counsel to sales and consulting, right? One of the biggest concerns I have is that people freak out when they get asked to provide all this data. And I don't freak out. I basically say, okay, here's what we need to do. Here's the simple steps. And my biggest concern is that they go out and they say, okay, well, the other side said we need to collect from 50 people and we need to run these search terms. Well, if you have the background, you understand civil procedure, you understand the rules, you can say, no, that's not the case. We're going to go into the 26F meet and confer. We're going to talk about the search terms. Then I'm going to go back and I'm going to run them in my system before I'm going to agree with you. And you're not going to get taken advantage of, right? So as a consultant to those people, you add a lot more value, right? Early case assessment, of course, we've talked about that for years. But here are some of just the different technologies that we leverage. Advanced Discovery has some of its own proprietary things. We certainly build technologies around technologies, but just some of the things that I'm sure you've seen in Professor Hamilton's courses or you'll see out there. So this is an area that I'm really excited about. And I'm excited about it because naturally I don't have the technical skills inside of the computer, right? I know how all of the workflows work, but I don't have all the technical skills inside of the database. But watching, like Pandora, for instance, right? If you take Pandora and you like a song, Pandora's going to go find similar or like songs out there for you. And so like that's the way I talk to my parents. Like my mom's always like, well, Kanie, what do you do for a living? And I'm like, well, that was my Jewish mom accent. It didn't work well. But like, what do you do for a living? So I kind of explain like what artificial intelligence is, predictive coding, continuous active learning. And so, you know, we're seeing it a lot more in our everyday life. I think it's something that, you know, if you've ever been on Amazon and bought something, the next time you go back, they'll tell you 6 other things that are like it, right? So it's cool. We're cool. I'm a dork. It's cool. And I think one of the things to take away from the discussion today and from everything you'll see over the next day and a half is there are a lot of really cool, neat people who are in this industry making a difference, not only in this industry. I mean, they're building technologies that help all across the globe, right? Counterterrorism. We have white collar cases where we're taking cell phone data and figuring out, you know, murders, right? You know, mafia stuff. Look, I don't get involved in any of that, so I'm not that cool. But we have some really, really exceptional forensic examiners who are in the FBI who work for us that just do amazing things. And so not only did I get to do some really cool stuff, I got to meet some really exceptional people with great stories. One of my clients she was a former lead journalist in Cleveland on the murder rap. So she basically, if there was ever a murder in Cleveland, she would be the first person called to the scene to do the journalism. And now she's the head of eDiscovery at a Fortune 10 company. And it's kind of funny because we tell stories back and forth often about like why we just changed careers. Like she was a journalist, she went to law school. I was a lawyer, I'm a salesperson, right? So, you know, it's kind of interesting. You know, and one of the things I struggle with most is, are my parents going to be proud of me when I tell them I don't want to be a lawyer anymore? Because it was so cool when they went to the party and they could say, my son Canaan is a lawyer. He's doing great. My son Canaan's a salesperson. He's great. Like, just, thank you. I always call myself a recovering attorney. But you know what? That's right. So that's the aspect, and that's one of the things I want people in here to take away, right? Is you don't ever give that up. You went through 3 years of this. You took the bar if you choose to. It's not the most fun test I've ever taken in my life, but you earned this, and I still pay the debt on it. So but you know, just continuous active learning, predictive coding, you know, learning more about artificial intelligence. And I don't think I ever would have been interested in it, but I am forced to be interested in it, and it's extremely overwhelming to understand everything that happens and how it happens. But I will tell you, I mean, if you just take it back to the simplicity of you need to go find something, you've got technology that can help you find it, and you need to get the answers now, because the attorneys who are then representing the corporation need to defend them in court, right? So there's a big picture here, right? And we play a little part in the picture, but a very important part. And then one of my favorite areas, and I wish I had the opportunity, I wish that this was around when I got out of law school, because you become the expert on a case. You're looking at more documents than the partner, the associate, anybody else looks at in the case when you're a contract attorney. I think if somebody would have told me I could have made between $20 and $35 an hour and get to know some really cool cases and work on some big stuff, I would have probably done it. Because I would have loved to have been like, all of us has that curiosity in us, right? Like, oh, what's going on in that case? I saw it in the news. Well, some of us, not myself, but some of us will get the opportunity. What does it look like to be a contract attorney? So I guess that depends on the vendor or law firm you work for. What it looks like for us is the ability to come work at Advanced Discovery, work on some great cases that have international international effects and are cool, and you can't talk to anybody about them, but at least you know you're cool. But you get to see the inside of a case, all the way down to the core of the documents that are being transferred back and forth between people. And one of the neat things is you have the capability, at least at Advanced Discovery, and I know other places, to then become a review manager, to then continue on to consulting, and then continue on your career. And I'm talking about people who are making hundreds of thousands of dollars that started making $20 an hour. If you put the effort and energy into that practice, people will notice. Because in Detroit, we have 400 people working every day. So how do you show yourself out of those 400 people? Not easy. But I will tell you, if you're a UF graduate and you're in a contract and you're in the room and I'm there, I will find you. So I really feel like you can show yourself by the accuracy of the review. You can show yourself by the interest you take. I mean, people are watching and listening, because then we have to report back to our law firm clients and our corporations on the status. And I'll tell you, we've had probably 15 contract attorneys that are now permanent employees. So it's not something that you shouldn't take seriously. The last topic is information governance, information security, and incident response. I mean, we're seeing a lot about cybersecurity, right? That's really cool. It sucks when there's a breach for a company, but there has to be a response and a plan, right? One of the ways to do that is to have governance around your data early on. So it's not something that I have a specific love for, which is why I put it as my last slide. But it is something that's extremely important to our industry. It's just another avenue that you have. And more important than all of the things that I showed you, and I'll go back sort of to my second slide, which is the A-team, is the people in your life, right? The people you surround yourself with. You may not have family. You may have friends that are family. I've found that to be pretty awesome as well. But people will support you in whatever choice you make. And again, the hardest thing for me was to say to my family, I'm ready to leave the practice of law, right? I'm ready to leave it behind when it comes to the day-to-day zealous advocacy for the client. Now I have a different type of zealous advocacy for my clients. It's helping them find what they need quickly. It's helping them save money, and it's helping them build trust in a partner, right? So I don't see myself anymore as a vendor. I see myself as a business partner to an organization. And I always talk about the success triangle, which is you've got the corporation that's relying on the law firm, that's relying on the vendor, and if we all work together, we're gonna have a lot of success. So I've met some great people along the way. I've had some amazing opportunities to travel to some awesome locations. And I've made some great friends. And so all the while, I also have made a little bit more money than some of my friends that are lawyers too, so I poke them a little bit as well. But that wasn't what motivated me. Again, what motivated me was that I knew I could do something better than was being done. And again, I evaluated that in 2006. Things are pretty progressed now in the world of eDiscovery. So, if you guys have any questions, if you want to, if you want to talk in more detail about this, there's a lot of people in the room that are at big law firms, that are at corporations, that are happy to talk to you. But I will say, it's important to go back and sit down with yourself and your career trajectory and where you want to go to find out what it is that motivates you, because other people shouldn't set the path for you, right? I chose to continue through because I had spent the money and took the classes and passed the bar, but all through the 8 years, I knew that there had to be something else. And it found me. I didn't find it, right? It found me through that path. So I think you will find it. I think if you're not in Professor Hamilton's class yet, this is a little ad for Professor Hamilton's class. Do take it, because I think it's important as well. Even if you choose to go and practice law as a first-year associate, and Rose was saying this, this morning, sometimes you're the one tasked with the eDiscovery project. You're tasked with some of the most important decisions, right? And so as a first and second-year associate, you need to understand it anyway, right? And that will make you more valuable to your law firm. I mean, there are people in the troves, right, that are eDiscovery lawyers. So there is a way to do that as well if you're really into the technology world and into how things can be different. I will, again, just as my time is running out, thank my A-team. Those are the people who got me by. I mean, I travel quite a bit for work, but I have been able to spend a lot more time with family than some of my other good friends that are lawyers. I've been able to do what I want to do, which makes me happy. And at the same time, I've been able to I have some people at home that are proud of what I'm doing, right? And so I left here to take that one single path that I talked about earlier, which is becoming a lawyer, because I had to be, right? Today, you don't have to be, right? You always will have your law degree. As she said in the back, you'll always be a lawyer, but you'll be able to use those skills to concentrate on a really cool industry with really cool people. So, thanks.
Any questions for Canaan quickly before we move on to our next session?